Hi there. In case we haven't met, Gregorious here, and welcome to my channel. Or welcome back if this isn't your first time. You fool! Why did you return? Abandon all hope, ye who enter here! Sorry about that. Today, I'm going to be briefly discussing my impressions and giving a quasi-review on the indie title Nobody Saves the World, recently released on PS4 and PS5. But first, yeah, do this thing and do that thing. Do it. Do it. Do it. Okay, so as I've said in previous videos, I dig indie games. Well, imaginative and well-made ones anyway, and two of my favorites from the PS4 generation were the Guacamelee games. Guacamelee! Now, granted, I didn't actually play them until the second game released, namely because I had heard how hard, the first one was. Apparently? Well, it was challenging as a Metroidvania-style platformer and brawler, but not enough to warrant bloodlust in a player. But, needless to say, I loved them. Loved them. I contemplated leaving my wife for them. Kidding, in case humor isn't your forte. Speaking of humor, the humor in the game, the tongue-in-cheek gaming and pop culture references, and the tight controls based on brawling and timing, all of that wrapped in a beautifully colored package based upon Hispanic culture, primarily Dia de los Muertos. Why yes, I will be putting out my Grim Fandango video I hinted at like a year ago, sometime, soon. Why you ask? And the sport of lucha libre. It's all chef's kiss level of excellent. So when I heard that developer Drinkbox Studios was making a more straightforward RPG in the vein of the old school Zelda games, except Zelda 2. You suck, Zelda 2, because you're not a top-down RPG. But with similar humor and style to the Guacamelee games, I was pretty excited, and now that it's finally been released on PlayStation, I can give some thoughts on it. So, here goes! As always, let's start with a plot recap. Well, for the first hour or so anyway. In a fantastical world of magic, monsters, castles, and villages, you play as the aptly named Nobody, a blank slate character with no characteristics, or pants, who quickly realizes that something called the Calamity, which had been banished centuries before, is rampant in the land again and threatening to destroy it. Nobody steals a wand from a pompous wizard named Randy the Rad and sets out to find Nostramagus, or Nostramagus, the most powerful wizard in the kingdom, and put a stop to the Calamity once and for all. Luckily for Nobody though, the wand he purloins allows him to transform into a myriad of different forms to use against his enemies in his quest. Now, before I tackle gameplay, let me just say, the style has grown on me, but at first I was a bit put off by it. Coming across as a hybrid of many Nickelodeon shows I grew up with, namely most produced by Gabor Chupo and Ren and Stimpy. Yeah, if you don't understand my disdain somewhat for that last part, look up the creator online. Anyway, it has a kind of sketchy, ugly look. However, it's fitting with the overall goofy charm and colorful wit of the game, so while not as refined or polished in appearance as the Guacamelee games, it has charm. This extends into the humor, which is at times both slick and juvenile. Okay, gameplay-wise, this is your basic dungeon crawler. As Nobody, you have access to numerous forms. For this footage, a rat, guard, and ranger. I've unlocked a snail since, too. And each form has upgradable attacks and buffs. You have goals, called quests, for each form that allow you to do these things, and they grant you experience and, most importantly, stars, which are used to unlock doors to continue through the story. As each form gains experience, you also earn upgrade points, which can be spent to strengthen your attacks and passive buffs. As you progress, enemies get tougher and, like Guacamelee, some have to be hit with certain attacks in order to be harmed, and display this through use of color and symbols alluding to the damage required to remove their shield. Except here, it requires you to change form when in the other games, you merely had to do specific moves. This shows that you have to be careful with what forms you go into battle with, giving it a tactical flavor that makes the game more interesting and potentially frustrating. Each dungeon, the main parts of the game, has to be unlocked and technically are roguelike in that they are randomized on the inside. For me, I died within a dungeon, was booted outside, and when I returned to the interior, the layout had changed. That aspect can be annoying if you're not accustomed to this style of gameplay, but I don't find it that way. Not yet. anyway. And like any RPG, you can accept side quests for extra experience, find fairies to raise your mana, maybe your health too. Not sure on that one yet. All typical, but entertaining fare. All in all, this is a fun little gem and another excellent game in Drinkbox's catalog. For you indie fans, and especially to those of you who enjoy top-down RPGs with style and substance, the unique mechanics of this game elevate it to the position of being highly recommended by me, if you value my opinion.
Please value my opinion.
It may take a bit to get accustomed to its gameplay and possibly its style, but it's a journey I look forward to continuing, and I think others who like this sort of thing would too. Alright, that's all for today. Later.